Greetings. Very well. Greetings. What is it now? What mortal? What is it now? What mortal? I must hunt soon. What is it now? Agreed. Die.
Our allied town is being attacked!
Agreed. Very well. That was my first blood. Very well. I must hunt soon. I hunger. Death rages. What is it now? You thought of that? That was my plan. Agreed. That was my plan. You thought of that? Greetings. Agreed. Very well. What is it now? Agreed. That was my plan. Agreed. Greetings. You thought of that? That was my plan. Very well. That was my plan. Agreed. Very well. Agreed. Die. Death rages. What? That was my plan. Die. Greetings. Death rages. What is it now? I hunger. You thought of that? What mortal? I must hunt soon. What mortal? What is it now? That was my plan. Die. I hunger. You thought of that? That was my plan. Greetings. Agreed. That was my plan. You thought of that? Agreed. I must hunt soon. Death rages. I hunger. You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that? Very well. Agreed. What is it now? Die. You thought of that? I hunger. That was my plan. You thought of that? What mortal? I must hunt soon. What mortal? I must hunt
Welcome
soon.
to our village.
Greetings. What mortal? Agreed. Very well. I must hunt soon. What mortal?
We're under attack!
Greetings. I must hunt soon. That was my plan. Very well. That was my plan. Die. You thought of that? Your soul is mine. That was my plan. You thought of that? Greetings. I hunger.
Our allied town is being attacked!
Very well. What is it now? I must hunt soon. You thought of that? Die. Death rages. Agreed. Very well. Agreed. I hunger.
Hello there.
Greetings. Agreed. Very well. Agreed. Greetings. What? Die. That was my plan. You thought of that? That was my plan. Death rages. Agreed. You thought of that? Die. Plan. Agreed. That was my plan. I must hunt soon. Very well. What is it now? You thought of that? Very well. You thought of that? That was my plan. Agreed. Very well. Greetings. What is it now? Agreed. Very well. I must hunt soon. That was my plan. Greetings. What, mortal? You thought of that? That was my plan. Greetings. You thought of that? Very well. I hunger. Die. That was my plan. What, mortal? Greetings. What, mortal?
Our allied town is being attacked!
I must hunt soon. What, mortal? Greetings. Very well. That was my plan. Agreed. Very well. I hunger. What is it now? Death rages. Agreed. What, mortal? That was my plan. What is it now? Agreed. That was my plan. What, mortal?
Greetings, friend.
What is it now? Agreed. What, mortal? That was my plan. Die. You thought of that? Greetings. I hunger. Die. Agreed. Very well. That was my plan. What, mortal? You thought of that? Agreed. That was my plan. Agreed. Very well. You thought of that? I must pursue. That was my plan. You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that? Greetings. What is it now? Very well. You thought of that? I hunger. Very well. Agreed. Very well. Agreed. That was
Our
my
allied town
plan.
is being attacked!
I must hunt soon. What is it now? I must hunt soon. Death rages. Very well. Greetings. What, mortal? Agreed. Greetings. That was my plan. Agreed. What is it now? What, mortal? That was my plan. Agreed. That was my plan. I hunger. Your soul is mine. That was my plan. Greetings. Agreed.
Our allied town is being
Welcome
attacked!
to our village.
What is it now? That was my plan. What, mortal? I must hunt soon. Greetings. Death
Our allied town is
rages.
being attacked!
Must hunt soon. You thought of that? That was my plan. Agreed. That was my plan. Very well. You thought of that? Greetings. What is it now? Greetings. Die. What, mortal? That was my plan. Agreed. I hunger. That was my plan. Very well. That was my plan. You thought of that? That was my plan.
Our allied town is being attacked!
Your soul is mine. You thought of that? Greetings. Very well.
Inventory is full.
What, mortal? I must hunt soon. You thought of that? That was my plan. Die. Death rages. I hunger. Agreed. That was my plan. You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that? Die.
Our allied town is being attacked!
That was my plan. Your soul is mine. Very well. What is it now? You thought of that? I must hunt soon. I hunger. What, mortal? Very well. That was my plan. Agreed. Very well. You thought of that? Greetings. Very well.
Our allied town is being
Death
attacked!
rages. Agreed. What is it now? Greetings. I must hunt soon. Die.
Greetings, friend.
Greetings. What is it now? What, mortal? What is it now? That was my plan. What? What is it now? You thought of that? That was my plan. Very well. I hunger. Death rages. Die. That was my plan. Very
Our
well.
allied town is being attacked!
What, mortal? I must hunt soon. Agreed. Very well. Agreed. What is it now? Death rages. What, mortal? You thought of that? Very well. That was my plan. I hunger. Very well. You thought of that? Your soul is mine. Agreed. Very well. I must hunt soon. That was my plan. What is it now? Very well. Greetings. You thought of that? That was my plan. What is it now? Very well. Greetings. What is it now? You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that? Greetings. What, mortal? Agreed. I hunger. Very well. You thought of that? Agreed. Die. Very well. Agreed. That was my plan. Agreed. I hunger. That was my plan. I must hunt soon. I hunger. Greetings. What is it now? What, mortal?
Our allied town is being attacked!
Agreed. Very well. Greetings. That was my plan. What, mortal? Greetings.
Research complete!
Your soul is mine. Die. That was my plan. What is it now? I hunger. I must hunt soon.
We're under attack!
The night beckons. What is it now? I must hunt soon. Agreed. What, mortal? What, mortal? Greetings. Very well. What, mortal? What is it now? Agreed. Very well. Greetings. What, mortal? That was my plan. Very well. Agreed. That was my plan. Very well. Agreed. What is it now? Very well. You thought of that? Death rages. I must hunt soon. What? Agreed. Your soul is mine. Very well. That was my plan. I must hunt soon. Very well. That was my plan.
What? Our allied town is being attacked!
Welcome to our village.
Must hunt soon. I hunger. That was my plan. What? Night beckons. Agreed. Very well. I must hunt soon. You thought of that? What, mortal? Greetings. What, mortal? Very well. Agreed. That was my plan. Death rages. I hunger. Agreed. You thought of that? What is it now? That was my plan. Very well. You thought of that? Agreed. You thought of that? I must hunt soon.
Our allied town is being attacked!
Very well. You thought of that? I hunger. What is it now? Very well. You thought of that? Die. That was my plan. You thought of that? Greetings. I must hunt soon. What, mortal? Very well. What is it now? I hunger. That was my plan. You thought of that? Agreed. Die.
We're under attack!
Very well. What, mortal? That was my plan. Agreed. Very well. You thought of that? That was my plan.
Our
You thought
allied
of
town is
that?
being attacked!
Greetings. Very well. Agreed. You thought of that? I must hunt soon. Greetings. That was my plan. You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that? Agreed. That was my plan. What is it now? What, mortal? Greetings. Very well. You thought of that? Death rages. Agreed. Very well. I hunger. What, mortal? What is it now? Agreed. I must hunt soon. That was my plan.
Our allied town is being attacked!
Agreed. What, mortal? You thought of that? That was my plan. Very well. You thought of that? Death rages. I hunger. Very well. That was my plan. Agreed. Greetings. What is it now? Very well. That was my plan. What, mortal? What is it now? Your soul is mine. What, mortal? You thought of that? I must hunt soon. Agree. What is it now? I must hunt soon. What? What is it now? That was my plan. What, mortal? Die. What is it now? Agree. That was my plan. Very well. That was my plan. Agree. Death rages. What, mortal? Very well. Die. I must hunt soon. Agree. You thought of that?
Our allied town is being attacked!
You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that? Very well. Agreed. What, mortal? I must hunt soon. What is it now? That was my plan. Death rages. You thought of that?
Our allied town is being attacked!
I hunger. Die. Very well. I hunger. What, mortal? I hunger. Greed. Very well. Agreed. What, mortal? That was my plan. Agreed. What is it now? Greetings. What, mortal? Greetings. Very well. That was my plan. Agreed. What, mortal? I must hunt soon. What, mortal? You thought of that? Agreed. That was my plan. Agreed. You thought of that? That was my plan. Very well. You thought of that? Greetings. Agreed. That was my plan. What, mortal? Greetings. I must hunt soon. You thought of that? Agreed. What is it now? Greetings. Very well. What, mortal? You thought of that? Very well. Agreed. You thought of that? Very well. Agreed. Very well. Must hunt soon. What, mortal? I must hunt soon. You thought of that? Agreed. I hunger. Very well. Agreed. Very well. Die. You thought of that? That was my plan. Courageous. Your soul is mine. What is it now? What, mortal? If I have wings, why am I always walking? What is it now? You thought of that? I hunger. What sort of? I hunger. Death rages. What is it now?
We're under attack!
Something is amiss. It shall be done. For Kalimdor, Ashtherodalador. For Kalimdor, something is. What threatens these lands? The land and I are one. Has sleep dulled my senses? Ashtherodalador. It shall be done. What threatens these lands? Anudora. It shall be done. Ashtherodonadon. It shall be done.
Pathetic wretches.
Anudora. Has sleep dulled my senses? Torfala Nordora. How dare you! For Kalimdor. It shall be done. Something is amiss. The land and I are one. Has sleep dulled my senses? What threatens these lands?
Pathetic wretches.
Press the attack! How dare you! For Kalimdor. Anudora. Has sleep dulled my senses? Ashtherodonadon. For Kalimdor. It shall be done.
First blood!
Torfala Nordora. For Kalimdor. Anudora. For Kalimdor.
Pathetic wretches.
Ashtherodonadon. It shall be done. Press the attack! For Kalimdor. Ashtherodonadon. Something is amiss. Threatens these lands. The land and I are one. Threatens these lands. For Kalimdor. Ashtherodonadon. Torfala Nordora. It shall be done.
Pathetic wretches.
Something is amiss. For Kalimdor. The land and I are one. Has sleep dulled my senses? Ashtherodonadon. For Kalimdor. Torfala Nordora. It shall be done. What threatens these lands? Something is amiss. For Kalimdor. Has sleep dulled my senses? What threatens these lands? Anudora. Has sleep dulled my senses? Something is amiss. The land and I are one. Press the attack! What threatens these lands? Ashtherodonador. For Kalimdor. The land and I are one. Has sleep dulled my senses? Anudora. Ashtherodonadon. Torfala Nordora. It shall be done.
Pathetic wretches.
Ashtherodonadon. Torfala Nordora. Anudora. It shall be done. The land and I are one. Ashtherodonadon. Threatens these lands. For Kalimdor. Something is amiss. Ashtherodonador. Anudora. The land and I are one. For Kalimdor.
We're under attack!
Is amiss. Anudora.
What threatens these lands? Ashtherodanador.
Point the way.
Something is amiss. What threatens these lands? For Kalimdor. Ashtherodanador. The land and I are one. Has sleep dulled my senses? It shall be done. The land and I are one. Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. For Kalimdor. What threatens these lands? It shall be done. For Kalimdor. Anudora. Anodorini Tala. Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. For Kalimdor. Something is amiss. Has sleep dulled my senses? What threatens these lands? Anudora. It shall be done. Pathetic wretches. For Kalimdor. Press the attack! Something is amiss. It shall be done. What threatens these lands? For Kalimdor. Anudora. Something is amiss. The land and I are one. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. Has sleep dulled my senses? What threatens these lands? Has sleep dulled my senses? For Kalimdor. The land and I are one. Anudora. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. Ashtherodanador. Has sleep dulled my senses? Anudora. What threatens these lands? For Kalimdor. Anudora. Has sleep dulled my senses? Something is amiss. For Kalimdor. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. It shall be done. The land and I are one. Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. Anudora. It shall be done. Has sleep dulled my senses? Something is amiss. For Kalimdor. What threatens these lands? Anudora. Ashtherodanador. The land and I are one. It shall be done. For Kalimdor. Has sleep dulled my senses? Pathetic wretches. Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. Something is amiss. What threatens these lands? The land and I are one. Anudora. For Kalimdor. How dare you! Has sleep dulled my senses? Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. The land and I are one. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. It shall be done. Anudora. Ashtherodanador. Something is amiss. What threatens these lands? Has sleep dulled my senses? What threatens these lands? Anudora. It shall be done. Ashtherodanador. Something is amiss. For Kalador. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. Has sleep dulled my senses? Ashtherodanador. For Kalamdor. Ashtherodanador. For Kalamdor. It shall be done. Anudora. The land and I are one. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. Has sleep dulled my senses? For Kalamdor. Ashtherodanador. Threatens these lands. Pathetic wretches. For Kalamdor. Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. For Kalamdor. Anudora. The land and I are one. For Kalamdor. Has sleep dulled my senses? Ashtherodanador. Anudora. For Kalamdor. It shall be done. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. It shall be done. Anudora. Ashtherodanador. What threatens these lands? Has sleep dulled my senses? It shall be done. Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. Ashtherodanador. The land and I are one. For Kalamdor. It shall be done. Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. For Falanordora. Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. Ashtherodanador. What threatens these lands? Something is amiss. For Kalamdor. The land and I are one. Has what threatens these lands? Something is amiss. Anudora. The land and I are one. It shall be done. What threatens these lands? Anudora.
Press the attack!
It shall be done. For Kalamdor. It shall be done.
How dare you!
Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. Ashtherodanador. Something is amiss. Anudora. The land and I are one. Has sleep dulled my senses? For Kalamdor. Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. Ashtherodanador. Something is amiss. For Kalamdor. Anudora. For Kalamdor. Anudora. It shall be done. For Kalamdor. Anudora. Ashtarodanabu. It shall be done. For Kalamdor. Ashtarodanabu. It shall be done. For Kalamdor. Ashtarodanabu. The land and I are one. For Kalamdor. Something is amiss. It shall be done.
Inventory is full.
The land and I are one. Has sleep dulled my senses? Ashtarodonador. Something is amiss. Has sleep dulled my senses? Something is amiss. The land and I are one. It shall be done. Has sleep dulled? Something is amiss. Land and I are one. What threatens these lands? The land and I are one. Something is amiss. For Kalamdor. Has sleep dulled my senses? It shall be done. For Kalamdor. What threatens these lands? It shall be done. I are one. The land and I are one. Anudora. Something is amiss. Ashtarodonador. It shall be done. For Kalamdor. It shall be done. For Kalamdor. It shall be done. Anudora. Has sleep dulled my senses? It shall be done. Something is amiss. Ashtarodonador.
Press the attack!
For Kalamdor. Has sleep dulled my senses? It shall be done. The land and I are one. For Kalamdor. Something is amiss. It shall be done. Ashtarodonador. Anudora. Ashtarodonador. For Kalamdor. It shall be done. Ashtarodonador.
How dare you! We're under attack!
Anudora. Has sleep dulled my senses? The land and I are one. As sleep senses. Something is amiss. Ashtarodonador. It shall be done. Has sleep dulled my senses? Ashtarodonador. It shall be done. Ashtarodonador. What threatens these lands? It shall be done. Ashtherodanador. For Kalimdor. It shall be done. For Kalimdor. Anudora. For Kalimdor. Amaldorini Kala. It shall be done. Something is amiss. As the land and I are one. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. Ashtherodanador. Something is amiss. It shall be done. Has sleep dulled my senses? Portala Nordora. Ashtherodanador. Something is amiss. It shall be done. Anudora. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. It shall. Has sleep dulled my senses? Something is amiss. Ashtherodanador. For Kalimdor. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. Has sleep dulled my senses? Ashtherodanador. The land and I are one. Threatens these lands. Anudora. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. It shall be done. Ashtherodanador. For Kalimdor. It shall be done. Ashtherodanador. For Kalimdor. Ashtherodanador. For Kalimdor. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. It shall be done. Anudora. It shall be done. Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. Anudora. For Kalimdor. Ashtherodanador. Amaldorini Tala. Has sleep dulled my senses? For Kalimdor. It shall be done. Ashtherodanador.
Double kill.
Anudora. For Kalimdor. What threatens these lands? Has sleep dulled my senses? Something is amiss. Pathetic wretches. Threatens these lands. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. For Kalimdor. Ashtherodanador. For Kalimdor. Has sleep dulled my senses? It shall be done. Threatens these lands. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. It shall be done. Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. The land and I are one. threatens these lands?
Anudora.
Ashtherodonador.
For Kalimdor.
It shall be done.
Anudora. For Kalimdor. Anudora.
Something is amiss. The land and I are one. Ashtherodonador. What threatens these lands? Something is amiss. Has senses?
For Kalimdor.
Has sleep dulled my senses? What threatens these lands?
Anudora. Press the attack!
It shall be done. Something is amiss. Has sleep dulled my senses? Threatens these lands.
For Kalimdor.
It shall be done. Ashtherodonador.
For Kalimdor.
It shall be done. The land and I are one.
Anudora.
It shall be done.
For Kalimdor.
Something is amiss. Threatens these lands. The land and I are one. It shall be done.
Anudora. For Kalimdor.
Ashtherodonador.
For Kalimdor. Anudora. For Kalimdor.
What threatens these lands? The land and I are one. What threatens these lands?
Anudora. For Kalimdor.
Has sleep dulled my senses? The land and I are one. It shall be done.
Anudora.
It shall be done.
Anudora. For Kalimdor.
Ashtherodonador.
Anudora. For Kalimdor.
Ashtherodonador. What threatens these lands? It shall be done. Ashtherodonador. It shall be done.
Anudora.
Ashtherodonador. It shall be done. Ashtherodonador.
For Kalimdor. Anudora. How dare you!
The land and I are one. Has sleep dulled my senses? Something is amiss. It shall be done.
Anudora.
It shall be done. Ashtherodonador.
For Kalimdor.
It shall be done.
Anudora. For Kalimdor.
The land and I are one. What threatens these lands? The land and I are one. Something is amiss. The land and I are one.
Anudora.
Has dulled my senses.
For Kalimdor.
Ashtherodonador.
For Kalimdor.
It shall be done.
For Kalimdor. Anodorini Tala.
The land and I are one. Ashtherodonador. It shall be done. Ashtherodonador.
For Kalimdor.
Ashtherodanador. For Kalimdor threatens these lands. Something is amiss. Anudora. Has sleep dulled my senses? For Kalimdor.
We're under attack!
Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. Anudora. For Kalimdor. Something is amiss. It shall be done. Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. The land and I are one. As sleep dulled my senses. For Kalimdor. Pathetic wretches. It shall be done. Something is amiss. Has sleep dulled my senses? Ashtherodanador. For Kalimdor. The land and I are one. Anudora. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. It shall be done. Anudora. Ashtherodanador. For Kalimdor. Something is amiss. Has sleep dulled my senses? The land and I are one. It shall be done. For Kalimdor. Anudora. Something is amiss. For Kalimdor. Anudora. Ashtherodanador. For Palanodora. Anudora. Ashtherodanador. Threatens these lands. How dare you! Pathetic wretches. Anudora. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. It shall be done. The land and I are one. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. Has sleep dulled my senses? It shall be done. Threatens these lands. Anudora. Ashtherodanador. Anudora. It shall be done. Ashtherodanador. Is amiss.
Press the attack!
For Kalimdor. Anudora. It shall be done. Anudora.
Double kill!
For Kalimdor. The land and I are one. It shall be done. For Kalimdor. Anudora. For Kalimdor. Anudora. Ashtherodanador. It shall be done. For Kalimdor. Threatens these lands. Ashtherodanador. For Kalimdor. The land and I are one. Something is amiss. Ashtherodanador. Pathetic wretches. What threatens these lands? Has sleep dulled my senses? Something is amiss. The land and I are one. It shall be done. Has sleep dulled my senses? threatens these lands. The land and I are one. For Kalimdor, it shall be done. Has sleep dulled my senses? For Kalimdor, Ashtherodanador, it shall be done. Ashtherodanador, it shall be done.
Anudora.
The land and I are one. Something is amiss. Ashtherodanador. The land and I are one. Has sleep dulled my senses?
Anudora.
For Kalimdor, Ashtherodanador. For Kalimdor, Ashtherodanador. It shall be done.
Anudora.
Ashtherodanador. For Kalimdor, something is amiss.
Anudora.
For Kalimdor, Ashtherodanador.
For Falanordora.
Has sleep dulled my
Double
senses?
kill! Triple kill!
For Kalimdor, Ashtherodanador. For Kalimdor,
Amadorini Tala.
it shall be.
We're under attack!